The dashboard was cold under my palms. Fog breath curled in the air. Streetlights reflected off the wet asphalt. I held the steering wheel tighter. Ethan's backpack leaned against the passenger seat, straps wet. The coffee from the thermos had gone lukewarm. "Dad, are you sure about this?" Ethan whispered. I glanced at him, nodded. We had 20 minutes before the dinner started. The restaurant was 8 miles ahead. I calculated the timing precisely. Rain tapped on the windshield at 37 drops per minute. The smell of wet asphalt filled my nose. I remembered 1998, when my former boss, Mr. Henderson, had scolded me for missing a report deadline. I could still feel the tension in my shoulders and hear the faint creak of his office chair. The scent of burnt coffee lingered in the hallway where he stood. That memory reminded me to stay patient. The restaurant lobby was a new building, wide and bright, walls cream-colored with polished oak trim. Soft jazz hummed through hidden speakers. I felt the warmth of the heating vents at my feet contrasting with the chill from the glass doors. Stainless steel panels glinted under the fluorescent lights. The smell of baked bread from the kitchen made my stomach knot with anticipation. I recalled 2005, when my old friend Harold had lent me $2,500 to cover unexpected medical bills. His voice had been calm. "You'll manage, Robert. Just take it one step." That memory reminded me how allies appeared in unexpected ways. I parked my car 14 feet from the curb, checked the rearview mirror. Ethan adjusted his seatbelt. I ran through the timeline in my head. 7 years of exclusion. 3 accounts where monthly transfers had been diverted. $60,000 requested across 84 payments. Michael's voice echoed from a past call. "He thinks he's in control." I noted his arrogance. I sipped lukewarm coffee. The metal mug felt heavy. My fingers traced the embossed initials LC on the handle. I counted 32 steps from the car to the entrance. I rehearsed what I would do. Observed the doorman's stance, timing of his nod. I could feel the vibration from the city traffic beneath the soles of my shoes. The lobby smelled faintly of lemon polish. I recalled 2012, when my neighbor Margaret had quietly warned me about Sarah's early signs of deception. The warmth of her kitchen in that memory contrasted sharply with the cold reality now. I had to verify every detail tonight. Each action measured. Each look analyzed. I could not afford mistakes. The chandelier reflected over 200 points of light across the marble floor. I noted which tables were occupied. The background chatter was at 74 decibels. Ethan whispered again. "Are they looking for me?" I reassured him. My mind calculated distance, timing, and line of sight. I assessed the possible interventions. If I moved wrong, the plan could collapse. The blue journal rested on the passenger seat. Every note, every calculation, every record of financial irregularity and subtle manipulation was there. I could feel the leather's texture under my palm. I recalled 2010, when I had discovered a $3,000 discrepancy in Sarah's bank account. The memory guided me on detecting anomalies. I kept my eyes on the double doors of the lobby. The handle gleamed under the light. I could hear my own heartbeat, 88 beats per minute, steady. I analyzed Michael's probable reaction patterns. All contingencies were mapped. Ethan shifted beside me. I reminded him of the plan. Each cue precise. Every word mattered. My vision flicked to the waiter setting plates 22 feet from the entrance. Silverware clinked softly, the rhythm subtle but consistent. I felt the slight tension in my jaw. The leather of the journal pressed against my thigh. I focused on minor details, the reflection of the chandelier in the glass, the angle of the front door handles, the temperature differential near the vents. Internal reasoning ran, 7 years. Everything observed. I know the truth. I am ready. The plan is precise. Ethan is safe. We will not be stopped. Every past misstep accounted for. Every misrepresentation logged. Michael believes he controls Sarah. That perception will be dismantled tonight. Every financial claim verified. Every timeline cross-checked. Everything leads to one point. The first move will trigger the cascade. My hand closed around the journal. I breathed through my nose. My eyes fixed on the door. The lobby light reflected on Ethan's hair. I heard a clear, distinct voice behind me, sharp and deliberate. "Grandpa, you shouldn't have come here tonight." The rain had stopped when I stepped out of the car. Steam rose from the asphalt. The air smelled of damp leather and coffee. I tightened the strap of Ethan's backpack. He shivered beside me. "Dad, are you sure this is the right place?" he asked. I checked the address again. 82 Wall Street. 6 blocks from the car. The lobby lights glimmered like tiny stars. A faint hum of conversation echoed through the open atrium. The warmth from the ceiling vents contrasted with the cold draft at the doors. I remembered 2003 when my colleague, Laura Jenkins, had caught me staying late on a project. The fluorescent lights made her office glow green. She handed me a $1,200 reimbursement check for travel expenses and said, "Keep meticulous records." That memory reminded me precision matters. I walked toward the glass doors. Marble floors reflected my shoes. The scent of baked bread and fresh herbs from the kitchen reached me. I noticed a plaque on the wall. Private dining rooms. 3rd floor. Maximum capacity 35. I held the blue journal against my chest. Every note on Sarah's spending, every diverted payment, every manipulated birthday present. I counted the steps carefully. 21 from the entrance to the reception desk. I assessed the receptionist's posture. Background music played at 44 decibels. Ethan whispered, "Do you think they know we are here?" I replied calmly, "Timing is critical. Observation is necessary." All details logged. The elevator dinged on the 1st floor. The carpet felt damp beneath my shoes. I recalled 2011, when my friend Greg Hollings had lent me $3,500 for car repairs. He said, "Track everything, Robert." That lesson echoed in my mind. Each financial discrepancy meticulously tracked. I stepped into the elevator. The smell of lemon polish and polished wood mingled in the air. The metal buttons were cold under my fingers. I analyzed Michael's probable patterns. 7 years of exclusion. 84 monthly transfers. $60,000 misreported. I envisioned the plan unfolding. Each cue must be exact. Each reaction predicted. I studied Ethan's expression. Focused. Alert. I pressed the button for the 3rd floor. The doors closed with a soft click. Soft jazz played through hidden speakers. I observed table arrangements. Chairs and tables spaced precisely 8 feet apart. The chandelier's crystals caught light in multiple reflections. I recalled 2007 when my mentor, Peter Lang, had reviewed my financial records and said, "Accuracy can prevent disaster." That advice guided my calculations tonight. Every movement counted. Every glance measured. The hallway felt warm. Air conditioning kept the lobby at 72 degrees. I traced my route from elevator to private dining room. The blue journal remained close. My mind raced through past patterns, payments, conversations. I noted a discrepancy for $1,500 unaccounted in Sarah's ledger. The elevator dinged on the 3rd floor. I took the first step out. The carpet was thick, navy blue. The door to room 3A slightly ajar. Light spilled onto the floor. Ethan's eyes widened. I ran through contingency plans, signal timings, entry paths, conversation threads. I had accounted for 3 alternative exit routes and backup observation points. I counted the floorboards from the doorway to the center of the room. 28 steps. The faint smell of rosemary came from the kitchenette. I positioned myself near a column. Temperature measured at 74 degrees. I recalled 2009 when a client had missed a payment. I had documented the discrepancy and resolved it quietly. The experience informed my patience. Every detail must be precise. I adjusted the journal's angle against my chest. Every note relevant. Every page crucial. I listened. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. A soft click of a camera shutter reached me. I noted the time. 6:42 p.m. sharp. I analyzed the reflection of lights in the glass. Observed staff movements. Calculated Michael's possible distractions. A faint notification sounded from my phone. I reached for it. An email preview flashed on the screen. Subject, Sarah Chun, credit card statement review. Discrepancy found. For $1,200 missing. My hand tightened on the journal. Every previous observation confirmed. The picture of financial manipulation became tangible. Ethan stepped closer, whispering, "Dad, is this why Michael never lets you in?" I took a slow breath. The truth had begun to reveal itself. The numbers, the timings, the patterns, all aligned. This was the exact evidence I needed. The document from the bank confirmed everything. The elevator doors opened with a soft click. I stepped out into the hallway. The carpet was thick, burgundy, muffling every step. The smell of polished wood and fresh flowers filled the air. I held Ethan's hand tight. "Dad, I hear voices," he whispered. I nodded, signaling him to stay calm. We moved toward the room at the end of the corridor. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting striped patterns on the beige walls. The faint hum of air conditioning kept the temperature at 73 degrees. I recalled 2008, when my colleague Marcus Lee had warned me about overlooked financial anomalies. The faint scent of ink from his office lingered. He had given me a stack of envelopes, each containing receipts. That memory reminded me patience and observation were critical. I reached the door. Smooth brass handle, slightly cool against my palm. I counted the distance from the last hallway junction. 27 feet. I positioned Ethan behind me. Observed the room. A small wooden desk, for chairs, and a sideboard lined the walls. I could hear faint laughter from the staff in the kitchen, 79 decibels. The scent of baked lasagna wafted through the air. I opened my blue journal. Every entry about Sarah's $60,000 spending, each diverted payment, meticulously noted. I checked the time on my watch. 6:45 p.m. sharp. I ran through contingencies. For possible exit points. 3 observation angles. 2 staff members could see our approach. I took a slow breath. Focused on calculations. Checked the light reflecting off the sideboard. Shadows indicated movement. I remembered 2013, when my old client, Thomas Green, had left a $2,800 discrepancy unaddressed. I had documented it carefully. That habit kept me alert now. Every detail relevant. Every pattern confirmed. I took 3 steps closer. The journal pressed to my chest. Ethan's eyes flicked toward the desk. I noted the small lamp, 22 watts, casting shadows on the wall. The soft click of a door opening elsewhere drew my attention. Temperature near the vents measured 74 degrees. The carpet fibers brushed my shoes. I noticed a stack of papers, invoices from 2019, 2020, and 2021. I flipped through them, each showing payments to Michael Sanders for varying amounts. $5,000, for $1,200, $6,500. I noted the timeline. I adjusted my position near the column. Observed the floor, 28 steps from the desk to the doorway. Each tile numbered mentally. Ethan whispered, "Dad, do we wait or move?" I replied, "Move precisely when ready." I assessed the reflection of sunlight on the sideboard. Calculated possible angles of observation. The hum of conversation increased slightly. I rehearsed internal dialogue. 7 years of manipulation. 84 payments diverted. Total $60,000. Each past action leading to this point. My focus narrowed. I adjusted the journal to see the page with the largest discrepancies. Every name, every date, every amount clearly written. The shadows shifted near the door. A faint metallic scent from the window frame reached my nose. I could hear the rustle of papers, 83 decibels. My internal calculation ran. If I move now, all entries align. Every observation, every recorded number. Verified. Ethan remained still. The air felt cooler near the vent, 71 degrees. I ran through one final check. Distance from column to doorway, 28 feet. Distance to desk, 12 feet. Everything synchronized. My hand moved toward the elevator keycard. My decision made. I pressed it against the reader. The doors at the other end would lock automatically. I knew this action was irreversible. Ethan's hand tightened around mine. I exhaled slowly. The hum of the HVAC shifted. I felt the tension in my shoulders. All previous calculations were validated. The journal rested in my other hand. All evidence ready. The first domino would fall, and then a notification appeared on my phone screen. Bank alert. Michael Sanders just attempted a $4,500 transfer from Sarah Chin's account at 6:46 p.m. The taxi pulled up to the curb. Rain had stopped, but the asphalt still steamed. I held Ethan's hand. "Dad, what now?" he asked. I nodded toward the office building across the street. Glass doors reflected neon signs. The lobby was empty, smell of polished wood and fresh paint. I remembered 2014, when my old accountant, Linda Marsh, had handed me envelopes with tax documents, the ink still wet and sharp smelling. She had said, "Always check the math twice." That memory reminded me patience was crucial. I adjusted the blue journal under my arm. The building's lights flickered intermittently, fluorescent hum buzzing at 85 decibels. I noted the distance from curb to lobby entrance. 75 feet. Temperature measured 69 degrees. I led Ethan up the steps. Each footstep echoed. I counted the steps. 19. The metal handrail felt cold. I watched for security cameras. The receptionist was at the desk. I studied her posture. Lips pressed tight, eyes shifting. I recalled 2016, when my neighbor, Carol Benson, had noticed anomalies in Sarah's spending, handed me a note detailing a $3,200 discrepancy. The smell of her jasmine perfume lingered in my memory. That memory reminded me to trust outside observations. I observed the hallway beyond the reception. Carpeting deep red, thick. Air conditioning hummed quietly. Sunlight through side windows warmed patches on the carpet. The scent of coffee drifted from the kitchen. I assessed potential exits. 3 visible doors. 1 emergency stairwell. I ran internal calculations. 7 years of exclusion. 84 payments of $5,000. Total $60,000. Michael's control clearly documented. I positioned Ethan behind a large potted plant. He crouched low. I checked my watch. 6:48 p.m. sharp. I ran through the plan silently. Every angle considered. Every reaction predicted. I took a step forward. Heard a soft creak from the stairwell. Adjusted journal against chest. Focused. Heartbeat steady at 86 beats per minute. I recalled 2010, when my mentor, Peter Lang, had warned me to note all inconsistencies in accounts. Scent of his leather briefcase still sharp. That lesson guided me now. I observed security camera angles. For cameras on my path. 2 visible, 2 obscured. I counted floorboards to reception desk. 23. I noted chairs and tables. 12 on the left, 8 on the right. Sunlight reflected off glass panels on the doors. Faint smell of lemon polish. I adjusted journal pages to cross-reference payments. Ethan whispered, "Dad, is she here?" I whispered back, "Stay calm. Watch everything." Footsteps approached from the side corridor. Temperature shifted slightly, 71 degrees, near the vent. I checked reflection in window glass. Michael's likely path observed. Patterns confirmed. I positioned myself behind a decorative column. Distance to reception desk, 29 feet. Every previous observation and past record aligned. The journal pressed to my chest. I flipped to Sarah's latest credit card statement. For $1,200 in unaccounted charges. Cross-referenced with invoices, receipts, and payment notices. The hum of the air conditioning shifted. I noted faint tapping on the marble floor. Could be staff or cleaning crew. I ran the probability in my mind. Every scenario mapped. Ethan adjusted his grip on my arm. We were ready. My mind traced Michael's known behavior. 7 years' worth. Each date. Each transaction. Each claim. Every entry verified. I adjusted the journal angle again. Light reflected off brass desk handles. I could see the faint shadow of the open stairwell. I recalled 2009, when my colleague Marcus Lee had caught an error in a report, the smell of burnt coffee still lingering, and guided me to correct it. That memory reinforced careful observation. I prepared to move. Footsteps increased. Sound of distant elevator. The lobby lights flickered at 82 lumens. Sunlight cast long shadows. Air smelled faintly of roasted nuts from the nearby cafe. I exhaled slowly. Focus sharpened. Calculations complete. Timing perfect. Every piece aligned. I pressed the journal against my chest, steps measured, distance exact. I ran the numbers one final time. 30 seconds to execute plan. Ethan's eyes wide. We were a unit. Ready. I stepped into the reception area. My shoes pressed against cool marble. Staff had turned briefly. The column provided cover. I checked the stairwell. Nothing moved. The journal held all evidence. Every detail logged. Every pattern accounted. I glanced at the elevator lobby. Distance 36 feet. Time check. 6:49 p.m. Heartbeat steady at 87 beats per minute. I opened the first folder of invoices. Checked calculations again. Every payment aligned. My hand moved to the security panel. I pressed the buttons. Doors to the emergency exit clicked open. My pulse quickened. The action irreversible. And then a voice called sharply from the other side of the hallway. "Robert Shun, your daughter asked me to give you this note." The car pulled into the parking garage. Damp concrete walls smelled faintly of oil and cleaning solution. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting a pale glow. Ethan clutched the journal tightly. "Dad, are we safe here?" he whispered. I nodded. Steps echoed on the polished floor. I recalled 2015, when my friend and former colleague, Jacob Martinez, had left a coffee cup on my desk, steam still rising, reminding me of overlooked details and project budgets. That memory reminded me to stay vigilant. The garage smelled faintly of exhaust and damp cement. Metal beams reflected the overhead lights. My eyes traced the space. 2 stairwells, 24 columns, and an exit 53 feet away. I observed the elevator doors on the far side. Temperature hovered at 68 degrees. I checked Ethan's grip on my arm. "Stay close," I whispered. The garage was nearly empty. Soft dripping echoed from the pipes. I calculated timings. 7 years of manipulated events, 84 payments diverted, total $60,000. Every pattern mapped, every detail recorded. The journal held every note. I stepped toward the stairwell, counted steps, 29. I recalled 2011, when my former coworker, Janet Lee, had highlighted a $1,500 discrepancy in a client file, the smell of paper and ink still sharp in my memory. That lesson reinforced patience and careful observation. Each echo in the garage measured, each shadow considered. I adjusted the journal under my arm. Lights flickered every 3 seconds. I noted reflections on the polished concrete floor. Ethan's shoes squeaked softly on wet spots. The distant hum of a ventilation fan at 82 decibels filled the air. I reviewed the plan internally. Steps, distances, angles, timings, all accounted. I opened the journal to a page with Sarah's credit card entries. $4,200 missing, cross-referenced with invoices and prior payments. I rehearsed the sequence. Enter stairwell. Move silently. Avoid cameras. Reach office. Position Ethan. Confirm data. Execute. Each calculation aligned. I glanced at the emergency exit. Distance 53 feet. Path clear. Each shadow noted. Each angle analyzed. I breathed slowly. My pulse steady at 88 beats per minute. My gaze swept the garage one last time. The ventilation fan's hum shifted slightly. A car door closed 2 levels above. Footsteps approached in the distance. I crouched behind a column, observing. Ethan remained silent. I ran scenarios silently. Michael's expected reactions mapped. Potential disruptions accounted for. Timing precise. Everything aligned. The journal pressed to my chest. Data verified. Observations confirmed. I opened the first envelope in the journal. Cross-checked dates, amounts, and payees. 32 items matched perfectly with bank statements. I noted a discrepancy. 6 payments from July to December 2021 were redirected incorrectly. Calculations confirmed $6,500 total misused funds. I turned, considered routes. 2 options, stairwell or elevator. I chose stairwell. Steps measured, 28 to landing, 14 more to the next floor. Temperature changed slightly, 69 degrees, near vents. Faint scent of wet concrete mixed with exhaust. Footsteps closer. I signaled Ethan. He adjusted his grip. Every prior lesson informed my next move. 7 years of exclusion, careful recording, meticulous planning. I pressed forward, 1 step at a time, journal underarm, eyes scanning. Shadows lengthened as lights flickered. Calculations repeated silently. Timing, distance, visibility, all perfect. I reached the landing, stopped. Listened. No sound except faint dripping and distant fan hum. I adjusted journal to check discrepancies again. 6 payments missing. $6,500 total. All other figures aligned. My mind reviewed Michael's potential paths. Patterns predictable. Contingencies in place. Ethan stayed close. I took a deep breath, ready to move to the office floor above. And then the elevator dinged behind me. A notification tone cut through the silence. Security alert. Sarah Chun attempted an unauthorized $3,200 transfer at 6:52 p.m. The private dining room smelled of roasted coffee and polished oak. Soft lighting glimmered from 6 wall sconces. Ethan leaned close. "Dad, are we ready?" I nodded. Steps across the hardwood floor echoed. I recalled 2006, when my colleague Maria Thompson had pointed out a $1,800 misallocation in a client file, the faint scent of ink still strong in the air. That memory reminded me vigilance. Prevents mistakes. I placed the journal on the table. Every payment, every transfer, every detail aligned with my calculations. Shadows shifted as 2 waiters passed, carts scraping at 44 decibels. The air conditioning kept the temperature at 72 degrees. I reviewed the plan silently. Observe. Calculate. Move. Execute. Ethan adjusted his seat. I noticed the fine texture of the tablecloth. Sunlight filtered through blinds, casting striped patterns. I counted 32 steps from the door to the center of the room. Voices drifted from the hallway, 67 decibels. I observed Michael from the small gap in the doorway, unaware I watched. My mind ran through the last 7 years. 84 diverted payments. Total $60,000. All misreported and hidden. Timing perfect. Every observation accounted for. I adjusted the journal's angle to view discrepancies clearly. Michael spoke into his phone, proxy confession. Unaware I listened. I told her 72,000 over the years would secure obedience. Every call, every excuse, I tracked. She never questioned me. I shifted the payments in increments, $3,000 per month, total $4,500 for the last 6 months. Sarah thinks I'm protecting the family. She does not suspect anything. The credit card charges for July, August, September, all verified. No one notices. I made her believe she controls everything. Every dollar accounted. Each line reinforced the depth of manipulation. Every number confirmed my suspicions. I checked Ethan's eyes. Focused. Ready. The journal rested against my chest. I counted steps to the office entrance. 27. The faint scent of rosemary drifted from the kitchen. Light reflected off the brass handles. Air temperature 69 degrees. Every past payment, date, and calculation verified. Michael's arrogance documented. Proxy confession complete. I analyzed possible outcomes. Every scenario accounted for. Timing, distance, visibility, all precise. I shifted slightly, eyes on the journal. I noted the staircase behind the door, 29 steps to the next level. Vent hum at 82 decibels. Sunlight warm on my shoulders. My pulse measured 87 beats per minute. I considered my final action. Every step irreversibly leads to execution. The journal held all evidence. Ethan stayed close, silent. My plan complete. Decision made. I pressed my finger to the button on the intercom. The lock disengaged with a click. Door to the hallway swung open. My hand tightened on the journal. Every observation confirmed. Every financial detail recorded. All prior missteps corrected. Timing exact. I stepped through the doorway. Action irreversible. And then I spoke aloud, my voice steady, deliberate, final. It ends now. The rooftop terrace smelled faintly of wet concrete and fresh-cut grass. The city lights shimmered across the skyline. Ethan leaned against the railing. "Dad, what happens next?" he asked. I recalled 2004, when my mentor Harold Green had left a handwritten note on my desk, ink slightly smudged, reminding me to track every detail meticulously. That memory sharpened my focus. I checked the perimeter. Wind brushed against my face, 72 degrees. Distant sirens echoed at 78 decibels. I could see 12 floors below, traffic streaming in orange streetlights. I opened the blue journal, reviewing Sarah's past entries. Every $4,200, $3,500, $6,500 payment documented. Each date verified. March 2019, July 2020, December 2021. I traced paths, calculated angles, observed the doorways. Ethan stayed quiet. Steps from elevator to terrace 23. Air slightly cooler near the metal railing, 68 degrees. I analyzed the sequence in my mind. Every number confirmed. Every pattern anticipated. Shadows shifted across concrete slabs. The faint smell of exhaust mixed with rain. Dialogue carried from the floor below, muffled but distinct. She thinks we covered everything. 3 months of transfers, total $12,600. Every month, same day, for $1,200. I never expected him to notice. He is too distracted. Sarah believes the account is secure. No alarms yet. We moved funds through 3 accounts, all reconciled. The last one, December 2021, for $1,200, unnoticed until now. Each line revealed arrogance and overconfidence. I observed Ethan's face. His eyes wide, alert. I noted the temperature, the lighting, the sound levels. Calculated distances from stairwell, 27 steps. Reviewed previous floor plan. 12 cameras covered main hall. 2 cameras blind. I visualized entry routes, potential reactions, timing. Every scenario mapped. 7 years of manipulation. 84 monthly payments diverted, total $60,000. Each record cross-referenced with invoices, statements, receipts. I checked journal again. Every page aligned. Calculated time until confrontation, 6:52 p.m. precise. Steps to edge of terrace 18. Distance to stairwell, 31 feet. Every movement rehearsed. Wind gusted, 73 decibels. I ran internal dialogue. Timing, distance, observation, calculation, all perfect. Shadows shifted with city light. I adjusted journal, checked discrepancies. Every figure confirmed. Michael's arrogance evident. Proxy confession completed in memory. Focused. Calculations precise. I observed Ethan. Breath steady. Heartbeat 89 beats per minute. Air slightly cooler at 67 degrees, near the railing. I rehearsed dialogue in my mind. Every cue precise. Every reaction anticipated. Steps, distances, angles, numbers, times, all synchronized. I pressed the journal against my chest. The rooftop felt solid beneath my feet. I counted tiles from terrace entrance to railing, 21. Sound of distant traffic, 81 decibels. I ran through outcomes silently. Ethan whispered, "Dad, is it time?" I nodded. Steps taken slowly, methodical. Hand on journal. Every observation validated. Shadows lengthened. Wind gusted. Temperature 68 degrees. The city below gleamed in orange and white lights. I adjusted position near the railing. 30 feet from stairwell. Each prior detail confirmed. Timing exact. Every plan accounted. Internal calculation complete. Decision final. I looked down, calculated angles, steps, distances, lighting, angles of shadows, all perfectly aligned. I took one last breath. Steps steady. Hand tightened on the journal. The action irreversible. And I stepped off the terrace toward the stairwell, resolutely, fully committed. The law office smelled of polished wood and old paper. A faint hint of coffee lingered in the air. Ethan sat beside me, eyes wide. "Dad, are we really doing this?" he asked. I nodded. The sunlight slanted through tall windows, casting golden streaks across the floor. I recalled 2012, when my colleague Susan Grant had left a printed ledger on my desk, the smell of ink still strong, showing discrepancies in client accounts. That memory reminded me diligence prevents mistakes. I unfolded the envelope containing bank statements and invoices. Every payment, every transfer, every dollar accounted for. I observed the office, 17 chairs, 3 tables, a filing cabinet of dark oak. Footsteps echoed at 73 decibels from the hallway. I counted steps from door to desk, 24. I reviewed Michael's prior transactions, $5,000 in July, $4,500 in September, $6,200 in December. Each date precise, July 14th, September 22nd, December 3rd. I adjusted the journal. Ethan's grip on my arm tightened. I ran internal calculations. Timing exact. Every prior action mapped. Patterns confirmed. Shadows fell across the floor. My mind analyzed outcomes. I could predict each move. Every contingency rehearsed. I glanced at the receptionist's desk. She shifted a folder, unaware. I observed reflections on glass panels. Temperature steady at 71 degrees. The faint hum of air conditioning, 81 decibels, filled the room. Sunlight reflected off brass handles. Steps counted carefully. Distance to filing cabinet, 32 feet. I recalled 2007, when my mentor Harold Green had left a note with ink still wet, reminding me to cross-check each account meticulously. That lesson guided me now. Each payment, each transaction verified. I observed the street through the window. Cars moving at 40 miles per hour. Shadows from the building stretched 26 feet across the sidewalk. Ethan whispered, "Dad, what happens now?" I replied calmly, "We show them everything." I opened a drawer. Found 3 envelopes labeled July, September, December. I checked amounts. $5,000, $4,500, $6,200. Internal reasoning ran. 7 years of manipulation. Total $60,000. 84 monthly payments accounted. Each pattern clear. Every observation confirmed. I read the ledger carefully. Calculated angles, visibility, timing, movement. Footsteps approached the door, echoing at 72 decibels. I reviewed Michael's probable reactions. Every miscalculation accounted for. I adjusted journal pages. Light reflected off polished floor, creating streaks across the room. Air temperature 69 degrees, near vent. Shadows shifted across filing cabinet. I positioned Ethan behind me, 21 steps from the door. Each detail aligned. Every prior transaction verified. Timing precise. I checked security cameras. 5 visible, 2 blind. Angles mapped. Every escape route identified. I ran final calculations. Every figure confirmed. I stepped toward the desk. Placed journal on top. Adjusted papers beneath. Observed Michael entering, unaware. Dialogue began. You think he won't notice? All this money, 7 years of transfers. 84 payments. Each accounted. Every month, same day, $5,000. For $1,500, $6,200. I made her think he was powerless. She never suspected the real totals. Each line exposed overconfidence. I adjusted position. Steps measured. Distance to elevator 28 feet. The smell of coffee intensified. Air temperature 70 degrees. Sunlight reflected on journal cover. Shadows cast across floor. My mind reviewed every step. Contingencies mapped. Every prior anomaly recorded. Patterns confirmed. Timing exact. Heartbeat 88 beats per minute. I focused. Everything in place. Decision final. Action irreversible. And I slid the signed letter across the desk, sealing the instructions for the bank. The rooftop garden smelled of damp earth and cut grass. Concrete underfoot, slightly cold. Ethan adjusted his jacket. Dad, are we still on schedule? I nodded. The wind brushed across my face, 69 degrees. I recalled 2009, when my colleague Peter Lang had handed me a client file, the pages slightly curled, and said, "Notice every number, every detail matters." That memory reminded me diligence saves mistakes. I stepped toward the terrace railing. City lights twinkled 200 feet below. The hum of traffic 85 decibels. I adjusted the blue journal. Every prior payment verified. $5,000 July, for $1,500 September, $6,200 December. Shadows fell across concrete tiles. I counted steps, 21 to the stairwell. Sunlight reflected off glass panes, casting stripes. I ran through calculations internally. Timing, distance, visibility, every contingency mapped. Ethan stayed close. Soft rustle of leaves 21 decibels. I observed the elevator landing below. 2 doors, 1 open, temperature 70 degrees. I rehearsed movements. Every number, every date aligned. Patterns predictable. Michael's probable reaction anticipated. I traced the path through the lobby below. 32 feet from stairwell. Air smelled faintly of fresh paint and coffee. I recalled 2010, when my friend Jacob Martinez had left me a printed ledger, the smell of ink lingering, showing a $1,800 discrepancy. That memory reminded me attention to detail is essential. I checked journal pages. Each transfer recorded. Each invoice verified. 84 payments over 7 years. Total $60,000. I counted tiles from stairwell to terrace door, 24. Shadows shifted with light. Footsteps approached. 72 decibels. I adjusted journal. Position calculated. Timing exact. Every observation validated. I checked sunlight angles across terrace. Wind gusted 73 decibels. Temperature near railing 68 degrees. I ran internal analysis. 7 years worth of manipulation. All payments documented. Patterns clear. Every movement accounted. I stepped closer to the stairwell. 28 steps. Light reflected off journal's cover. I adjusted grip. Calculated distances to door and railing. Ethan's breath quiet. Pulse steady at 88 beats per minute. I focused on angles, timing, shadows. Air slightly cooler near vent, 67 degrees. I observed movement below. Traffic flowing at 40 miles per hour. Shadows stretched 26 feet across the concrete. I checked reflection on glass panels. Steps measured, distances confirmed. Timing aligned with prior plans. I prepared to act. 1 step, 1 sequence, 1 execution. Every prior observation validated. I counted floors below. 12. 6 windows along facade. Shadows shifted with streetlights. Wind gusted again, 74 decibels. I held the journal close. Every entry validated. Calculations exact. Observed Ethan. Breath steady. Pulse calm. All contingencies covered. Angles, distances, timing perfect. I recalled 2011, When colleague Maria Thompson had highlighted a $1,500 discrepancy in client files, the faint smell of ink lingering, reinforcing patience. That lesson guided me now. I ran through steps, terrace railing, stairwell, elevator, office. Movement, observation, calculation aligned. Shadows lengthened. Light shifted across tiles. Air temperature 68 degrees. Every figure verified. Payments, dates, amounts. All confirmed. The plan complete. Observation, recording, analysis perfect. Ethan's eyes alert. I adjusted journal one final time. Position confirmed. Distances measured. Timing precise. Shadows noted. Air humid, 69 degrees. Wind 73 decibels. Steps to stairwell 28. Elevator doors monitored. Angles confirmed. I exhaled slowly. Every past misstep accounted. Every observation confirmed. Every payment validated. The moment arrived. I stepped forward toward the stairwell, fully aware, calculation complete. And I realized in that instant the transfers totaled $62,400, and Sarah had known about them for 3 months. The morning air smelled of wet grass and fresh coffee. I stood at the park entrance with Ethan beside me. Sunlight filtered through tall trees, soft and warm. The temperature hovered around 65 degrees. Birds chirped at a steady rhythm, about 30 notes per minute. I recalled 2001, when my wife Linda Chin sat beside me on a wooden bench, the scent of her lavender perfume still vivid, telling me, "Robert, truth always finds its way back." That memory settled deep in my chest. I looked at Ethan. His shoulders seemed lighter now. "Is it really over?" he asked quietly. I nodded once. The blue journal rested in my hand, heavier than before. Not because of weight, but because of meaning. We walked along the gravel path, each step crunching softly. The distance from the gate to the bench was about 120 feet. I counted it without thinking. Old habits remained. I sat down slowly. The wood felt cool against my palms. A faint breeze moved through the trees, carrying the scent of earth and leaves. I opened the journal one last time. Every entry remained there. 84 payments. $62,400. 7 years of patterns. 7 years of silence. I closed it gently. I no longer needed to calculate. The numbers had already done their work. Ethan sat beside me, looking ahead. "What happens to them now?" he asked. I exhaled slowly. "They face what they created," I said. My voice stayed even. No anger. No raised tone. Just fact. I watched people pass by. A jogger moved at 6 miles per hour. A couple walked hand in hand, maybe 30 feet away. Life continued. It always does. I reviewed everything in my mind. Every step I took. Every detail I noticed. Every moment I chose not to speak. I understood something clearly now. This was never just about money. It was about control. About silence. About who gets to decide what truth is allowed to exist. My internal thoughts settled into place. I did not lose 7 years. I learned how deception works. I learned how patience exposes it. I learned that silence can be both weapon and shield. The breeze shifted again. Cooler this time. 62 degrees, near the shade. I adjusted my coat slightly. Ethan leaned closer. "You are not angry?" he asked. I paused. Considered the question carefully. I said. For a long time. I looked down at the journal. Ran my fingers along the worn leather edge. But anger does not solve anything once the truth is clear. He nodded slowly. I could see him processing it. The same way I once did. The park felt different now. Quieter. Not because of sound, but because of clarity. The noise in my head was gone. No more calculations. No more second-guessing. Just understanding. I recalled one more detail. In 1999, my old friend Daniel Brooks had handed me a broken watch, the metal cold in my palm, and said, "Time tells you everything if you let it." I understood that now more than ever. 7 years had told me everything. I just had to listen. I stood up from the bench. The gravel shifted under my shoes. The sun had risen higher. Light stretched across the path in long lines. Ethan stood beside me, taller than before, stronger. We walked toward the exit. Steps steady. No rush. No hesitation. Just forward. I did not look back. There was nothing behind me that needed revisiting. Some people measure life in years. I measure it in clarity. Some truths arrive slowly, but they always arrive complete. And once you see clearly, you never return to blindness.